So I just wanted to share what those were, and I wanted to bring Winter on stage. So if you guys could put your hands together and help me welcome Winter Valco onto the stage. All right, Winter, you got a mic?
I do.
Awesome. So Winter, everybody. So Winter created a software called AEvent, and has been working on it now for 7 years. You've been devoted to it. And I know that there's actual people in the room also that probably that use the tool that have had great success. And so I've been breaking down on Winter's. Winter's very humble, so I'll ask him stuff, and he'll probably just be like, "Oh, it's just because it works, it's good." And I'm like, "No, man, there's like powerful things here." So I've been breaking down like, what is it that was about AEvent that changed everything? But I guess why don't you talk a little bit about like what led you to developing it, and what do you think are some of the key components, like why my show rate doubled? What did it do?
Sure. What led me to developing it was the lack of personalization. At the time, 2015, Webinar Jam, every webinar was great, but you could send out one SMS 5 minutes before. That was it. And it was very templated and not easy. So from there, adding on SMS, adding on push notifications, ManyChat, so omni-channel, that helped. But then getting more conversational and intelligent about it. Most systems, at the best is attendee, non-attendee, or maybe you can dial down a little bit for emails, but you couldn't send out a picture message to your cart abandoners that maybe was an animated GIF, successive screenshots or testimonials that really pushed over the needle. So all of those is what's helped you double.
So the first thing is we talk about the back end of a webinar, right? We talk about all those segmentations. We talk about the show rate, no show. So the cool thing about what he did. So here's what we did. I'll just walk you through what we did. So first of all, I still love using Zoom or GoToWebinar. And we didn't have to change that. So Winter was like, yeah, you can absolutely do that. You don't have to change anything, but we'll still increase your show rates. And so, but by using his registration process, what starts to happen is everyone's getting pixeled. So now as they're opting in for the webinar, that pixel is going to follow them through the entire journey. So that pixel is going to, did they ever visit the order page? Should that trigger a new campaign? Did that trigger a new something else? Did they stay for the webinar? For how long did they stay? So first was like, okay, I see how we're personalizing things using this pixel. But then where it got really interesting was he's integrated and connected. So now when you sign up for a webinar, you're going to get text messages. You're going to get MMSs, which is basically image text messages. You're going to get forced voicemails. You can also do Facebook Messenger. And then he just told me the other day, which is kind of cool. So you're integrating with WhatsApp for the international audience that you can't text. Like if you guys did anyone here get text messages from us about the Expert Summit? Like what to go, where to go? Like we're actually using AEvent. We're just using his system to send those out. And so the combination of all of those and the reminders and being in front of everybody, that's the core feature of what really helped get the show rates really high, because now you're not just relying on emails. But then my secondary favorite part is, so I run the Zoom, I run it live, I'm done. And all of a sudden, what we used to have to do is we'd wait, download the Zoom list of attendees, filter it on spreadsheet, who attended for how long, upload to the autoresponder, this, that, kickoff sequences, it's all manual. Hour after we're done, AEvent goes in, does all of that. Creates all your audiences and can spit off new. So for example, an hour after the webinar, a text message can go off like, what gives? You didn't come. Well, you have another opportunity tomorrow for an encore. So those different channels I showed you, they can just start on their own. Partial shows, full shows, CTA watchers, people who clicked and saw the order page. Because of the pixeling, you can kick them off into a separate chain of emails and text messages and MMSs and forced voicemails. So imagine that, right? If someone doesn't buy, an hour later, they have a voicemail from me. It's like, hey, I saw you on my order page, watching you, but like you didn't buy, right? So, and what's amazing is all of this automation, it sounds intimidating, right? Like as it was implied earlier, but it's like you set it up one time and then it just runs like a machine behind the scenes. And so for me, the part that I thought was really powerful was like, yeah, the show rate goes up because we have all these cool tools that are integrated to do that. But then on the back end, it's like all the automation happens as well. So you have all of the segmentation going on. So talk a little bit about like how the back end works. So you've been refining that because you were the one who advised me on a lot of how to do some of it. What are you seeing right now as the best? Like, what are the audiences you're seeing? And
the best audience, obviously, non-attendee. And
Yeah.
as you talked about, going to an encore, not putting them into a replay or something,
Yeah.
but to an encore for people using the system, another Zoom, but maybe the first one was live, the second one's automated. Card abandoners for sure. And really anyone that stayed on past the CTA but didn't buy, those are the hottest. But I think like yourself, some of our users will have the card abandoners dumped to an Excel or a Google Drive spreadsheet every morning. So they have a call floor, they make outbound calls. That is the hottest lead from the automated webinar in which everyone was asleep for.
So here, like if someone's attended and buy, like you can dump it to your sales team. You can, pop them into new sequences here and there. The other thing that I forgot to mention, which is cool, is his system. So he's built like an entire server rack, and it records your webinar. So if you do it live, it records you, takes that file, and then tomorrow, that encore, it automatically runs it. It logs into your Zoom and runs the file, so you are done. Once you do the live, you pack up and you walk out. And all the sequences kick in and everything kicks in. And now you can turn that into so now here's the other cool thing is you can turn that automation into an evergreen. So most evergreen tools, you're watching it in an environment, right? Which is great. And that's what we've done multi-millions on. But now imagine your automation evergreen webinar is actually running through Zoom. Like people are actually signing up for Zoom. So they're logging into Zoom. And that, to be very honest with you, I still don't fundamentally understand how that works, like how you did it, because it's just like the Zoom room's constantly opening. But all I know is a webinar where someone's logging into Zoom for an evergreen is just a very powerful versus like into a web app, right? It's just like you're in Zoom, and then you can have customer support people there. Like you can actually have people logged in on your side. So have you found a difference between Zoom and GoToWebinar, by the way? Does one work better? Do you see people preferring one?
6 in one and half dozen the other. When I started out, my first goal was to automate GoToWebinar, right?
Yeah.
It was before Zoom webinars.
Yeah.
But now on platform, about 70% of our users are using Zoom.
Yeah.
Zoom's a household name.
Yeah.
GoToWebinar, not as much. After COVID, Zoom is like a household name. Everyone knows Zoom. Someone gets on Zoom, they believe it to be live, whether it is or not. And then you can go from there and put on your support to answer live engagement questions. Maybe it's an evergreen and you want to do the content piece automated. So our system will come on and play the whole hour and a half content, and then you can come in and take over and close out live, right? So you can answer all those objection points and you can come in fresh as opposed to exhausted because you just did an hour and a half of content that you do every week.
Yeah. Yeah, and for affiliates, he's got a system too, so that you can go ahead and have an affiliate's intro, but then use yours, and it automates the whole thing, so you don't have to show up for those webinars. I haven't used that part of it, but I think my favorite feature, honestly, is it's the show rate side and it's the back end segmentation, because those are the two things I do the most that take a lot of time, and I never did text messaging, MMSing, and all of that. I never even bothered with any of that.
What would you say if I say today I assigned a new task to the integration team that should give you another 10%, and we haven't talked about it?
Oh, so what? So what is it then? Yeah.
This new integration will be working with Google Calendar. So when someone registers, if you wish, you can directly send them a calendar. And what does that mean today? Like it's going to show up on my watch, it's going to show up on my smart device, it's going to show up everywhere, even if I click yes or no.
Pretty soon we're gonna have we're gonna have people that just show up at their house. Right? Show up at the house like, hey, you have a webinar to get on right now. That's awesome, dude. Cool. What else you got up your sleeves? What's the next feature after that?
Well, we're about to add 2 WhatsApp integrations. So we do a lot of SMS, MMS, which is great for the US. But internationally, sometimes you'll send someone a message and it costs them, right? So that's going to create a negative in their mind. They're going to be frustrated before they go on your webinar. So we're adding WhatsApp because that's more internationally used. Constantly coming up with new stuff.
What about my templates feature? That was a trick question.
It's going to happen. We need to sit down and have like an hour
brainstorm on that. Yeah. I want to open it up to you guys to ask him questions. I mean, yeah, Jose?
Yeah, it is like a point and click.
Jose, the text message you got this morning, it was sent by, well, the one yesterday was sent by me. So hence that means it is very low tech and very easy to use. Yeah, I found it very, very easy to use. But I mean, have you?
It's low tech for what it's achieving. At the same time, because I've been in the space for 14 years, it's very intelligent marketing ability, right? So you can go in and easily set up a text message, but you can also go through and really dive down into the platform, what it can do. And they're maybe a little more intimidating from the marketing perspective, right? Because it really opens up, like you were saying, like a choose your own adventure, where two different registrants can end up on two totally different paths based upon what they did or didn't do or see or didn't see.
Yeah.
Okay. Quick one for you there, Winter. The Zoom feature, this is probably a dumb question, but I'll ask it nonetheless. That's constantly open up a room or whatever, like a webinar event. Is that right? So what I'm wondering is, do you need a dedicated Zoom account for AEvent then? Yeah.
Yeah, we recommend like a dedicated standalone account because the way Zoom works, if
you can't use it.
If we're playing and you log in, it
exactly.
logs them out.
Yeah,
I was just to users.
I was just wondering, was it our Zoom account or your guys? I wasn't sure what way that worked.
That's everything on the platform is like a bring your account, bring your integration, and we make it all sing like an orchestra.
Perfect. Thank you.
Just real quick. So when we used your platform in the past, it was mostly for an automated webinar. Can you explain the benefits of, say we wanted to do a live webinar through Zoom, why do it with AEvent as opposed to just Zoom on its own?
Double the attendance. Like if you're just using Zoom on its own.
But we could do show up stuff. I mean, with our own, emails and texts and everything, not necessarily needing your software. If that makes sense?
So I mean, I can answer that because we never did. You can, right? There's a lot of things we can do, but now we have MMS, SMS, and we use the forced voicemails. I don't do the Facebook Messenger because Facebook gets a little cranky with the size of stuff that we do. But to set all of that up individually, then it's just, then you know what you're doing? You're setting up the zaps, you're literally doing everything that would have just been done. It's kind of a waste of time. But even more than that, it's the back end, the immediate audience creation. Man, because you finish a webinar at 10 p.m., you're gonna sit around till 11:30 and then download the files, and like someone on the team had to do it, and nobody was happy about that, right? Whoever got that through that short straw. So now it's like we don't go to bed, right? Like we walk away, and that alone is just awesome. And then all the other things are just added benefits of like you're pixeling people and you're learning about the audience, and but that's why I don't do them now without it.
Yeah, and in general, most users, depending on where they're at with their webinars, we're replacing someone in their business. And that sounds negative. It's not meant as a negative, but like there's so much that could be manually done. It's like at least a part-time job. And then that's just once. You want to do it twice a day or once a week or whatever, you're rinse and repeat. And it does become a cycle where your team can handle that, but also humans fail more than machines, sad to say. Yeah, we support Infusion.
We had Hema in the back, please.
Oh.
Here, you.
Sorry.
Okay. Hi, I'm Hema, and I have known about Winter and AEvent, it's called, right? Since WebinarCon last year in Austin. And my two hangups have been this. I've been hearing from many people how awesome it is. One is I run my business on Kartra for the past couple of years. It's fine. I'll outgrow it someday. And Kartra and EverWebinar and Webinar Jam will play nice because they're all made by the same company. I'm scared of everything that I have working on my EverWebinars and Webinar Jam falling apart because I try to move it over to something else and because I'm so dependent on Kartra. So Infusionsoft obviously you work with. I don't know if
Yeah, we have full support for Kartra.
You do?
Like a
Okay.
native integration.
Oh, awesome. Okay. So I wouldn't have to be zapping and all that stuff.
No,
Okay.
not at all.
Okay. And then the second thing is if I have everything built and I kind of want to just take what's been working, but then bring in these other features, are you able to have a team that helps? Because I have a small, mighty team, but small. And I don't want to put it on them to suddenly like manually move all this stuff over and build it out.
Yeah, we have various levels of service, but most levels of service, the onboarding involves us setting up your first webinar. So that would be working with you, the team working with you, and implementing your webinar into AEvent. And I'm always, like your case, I'm always like, let's not move a lot of needles, because moving over is that's a split test. I'm a believer of like a different font or a weight is a split test, right? So everything is a split test. So yeah, moving over your setup and then starting to add bells and whistles once the engine's running.
Okay, awesome. Thanks.
Hema, that was what I did because I had the same thing. Even though I have a big team, we were all busy and we're running so many things. So when I wanted to run the first test, I just said, I'll hire your I call I don't know if he calls it, I call it the concierge service. I'm like, you just do it. And they did, and it was awesome. And then after that, I was like, okay, now because now it worked. I'm like, I want to see what you did so I can learn it. I'm sorry? No, mine are not on ClickFunnels.
Yeah, we have full support with ClickFunnels, and Russell they use our platform daily for like a 4-hour webinar using Zoom.
Okay, Winters, I have two questions. Number one, based on the time that they attend the webinar, so you pass the data to autoresponders, number one, active campaign included.
Completely pass whatever data you want. So let's say you want like a 20 to 40 minute group, 40 to 60, and then you want to add a tag for infusion or whatever the case may be. Yep.
Yeah, so I'm actually using active campaign CRM that through which I pass the data to my sales team based on the time that they attend the webinar. So that's number one. Number two is regarding the Google Calendar integration. So I actually tried that. So how do you do that? First, you create an event in your account. I mean, the person who is doing the webinar, and then the attendee gets added to that particular event. Is that how you're doing it? Because I tried it, but there was a limit of 200, 250 per event. And then I had to run a program, create another event for the same webinar. Or is it something else that you're doing?
Sorry, I only got half the question.
So basically saying, how do you technically do that? Which I'm not sure he should answer, to be honest with you. But nice try. I appreciate the try. So he was like, I tried to do it and it doesn't work. And so how do you technically get this feature live? And so he was seeing that 250 was an issue. Like Google Events will allow you to send 250 invitations. My guess is he's just sending a private invite with their custom Zoom login URL in the invite. So it's like as if I was sending you a one-on-one meeting. It's kicking up a one-on-one meeting for them.
Yeah, so like the calendar that's used with that integration, let's say there's 6,000 registrations, it would have 6,000 calendar events for that moment. But each calendar event has like the unique link. So one thing that I focused on that frustrated me in 2015 was, we're doing a cross promo and your email says, hey, go find the GoToWebinar email so you can join. Like that's so much friction, right? So like the calendar links or anything in the system, the SMS, everything is going to load into Zoom or GoToWebinar or wherever it's supposed to go. And it also evolves along.
That was the first thing he made us change. We were still doing that until like 4 months ago. I was like, go find the link and GoToWebinar. And he's like, what the heck is this? What are you in Stone Age? I'm like, this is what works. He's like, we have the link, their custom link inside AEvent. It's already been passed to your email autoresponder. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, just change the link code to this. And now you don't have to say that. I'm like, and I made my team test it like 6 times. I was like, I don't believe this. Test it.
What's the name again? AEvent.
AEvent.
AEvent. Okay. I would love to use that. Thank you.
We're going to pass out little forms for anyone who wants a free demo and like some cool stuff. We're going to pass something out soon so you can fill it out. But, as you can tell, so just so you guys know, I don't have a dog in this race. I don't make any money for this. I really love the tool. Winter has been really kind to help us with our webinar stuff. And I just wanted to make it, thought it was a huge value for you guys and just wanted to help him out. So I'm like, we'll pass something around, but I'm not making anything on it. I just wanted to be clear about that. So
Winter, I love the calendar invite feature. Is that both for evergreen as well as live webinars? And then is it only if you're using Zoom as a platform, or does it work with Webinar Jam? And
It doesn't work with Webinar Jam. So right now we support Zoom, GoToWebinar, and then we have our own streaming platform. It's not for live. So if you want to do like live or automated, we have our own streaming platform. But it'll work interchangeably across. Within the platform, we have a timeline, and it's exactly as it sounds. You can set actions along. That timeline can be used interchangeably, whether you want to do a Zoom or a GoToWebinar or an AEvent stream. You can even split test the two platforms. So everything's really built in a way where you can plug and match what you want to work and how you want it to work.
Just so you guys know, those forms are coming around. You don't mind if you want to get like a custom one-on-one demonstration to discuss how to use it in your business, because that's honestly, that's the best way to figure out if it applies to you or how to use it, is to get on a one-on-one and actually share like, hey, this is what I do. This is what I did with him. So just fill out that form, and before you walk out of the room today, hand it to one of us. We'll get it over to Winter, and then he can follow up with you. Yeah, go ahead. It's cool. Just talk loud. Mm. Something came my way. I signed up, and Tuesday night, I was like, "Where are you?" Like, folding laundry. Really? I was attending you 3 hours. I was like, "Does this man sleep?" Like, he just kept going, and the way the text and everything was going through was that as recent as August that you were already using it? Because it was awesome as a person attending. So I was like, "Wait, is this in the platform now?" Yeah, August. I would have been using AEvent. We moved over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We haven't even started using all of the features yet, but we started making our full migration over, some months ago. And for us, it takes a little bit longer to move over. It's just a bigger boat to turn. But I think by August it would have been, especially if it's a live. If it's a live, it was 100% it was AEvent. We don't do any lives.
Winter, if you have multiple companies, do we need to have multiple subscriptions to the product, or can we do more than one thing underneath it? Because, they'll go to different businesses.
That's really up to you. I mean, so each, we have different user level accounts with different whatevers, but that's up to you. So I've been asked this question before. I say, if you trust the other business partners, or it's all your own businesses, whatever.
Yeah, they're all mine. So I trust me.
Yeah. That's totally fine. You don't need to have this offer needs.
So
this
they can be
account.
emailed from different email names then?
Yeah. So there's no
Okay.
limitations with the platform. You could have 100 AWeber accounts, 100 active campaign accounts. There's no limitation at all. You can run 3 Zooms at the same time or 20.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
And then, so if we wanted to be like an agency with it and have clients with it, can we do that, or do we just have to sub-sell to them?
We should talk.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks. All right, cool. She has a question too.
Hi, my name is Angie Norris, and I just have to say that I've been on the demo with Winter, and he is amazing. The software is one of the most epic webinar software tools that I've ever seen. And I am a techie person, but I just loved going through the demo, so I would really recommend you getting on the call with him, even if you're not even sure you want it. Once you see it, you're going to want it. It's really, really cool. So thanks, Winter.
Thank you.
Right.
I'm just making a shout out. Winter helped us out with our first webinar with one of our clients, and it crushed. Like the first day, it did like $1 million in 6 hours, and we did an encore and a replay that weekend, and we did like just under $2 million, and it was like flawless. No zaps, no nothing. Easy to set up. Super light on our team, and the show up rate was like absurd. It was like high 40s. So
Yeah.
really awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're excited to chat.
Thank you.
Do you work with Eddie? Yeah. Okay. Got it. I think it sounds familiar. All right. Sam? Olga's coming.
Just a quick follow-up question based on something you said. Do you have mechanisms in place to facilitate encores and replays, like what he's talking about as like one cohesive campaign? You got the live, you got 2 encores, you got a replay. Is there something in there that you kind of like use the same video as the same campaign, or would that be kind of 2 separate, or how would that facilitate yourself?
Yeah. So again, the timeline, we just have a multi-event timeline. You can have, I mean, we have some users that have 60 days worth of webinars in there. You know, if it's going through different sequences.
But
So
would they, if they register for the main one, do they automatically get into the encore
based
or
upon
whatever?
what you've
or-
chosen as far as, so you could automatically, let's say we're looking at a timeline, you have your main event, and then all non-attendees get encored to Encore 1. And all attendees that attended a certain time get encored to Encore 2, which may be a different video.
And
So
they don't
then
have
you
to
can-
re-register for those?
No.
Okay, cool.
one registration.
Very good.
Right. Anyone have any other questions? All right, awesome. Well, you have the forms. Again, please fill them out. Like, you know, it takes a minute. You can fill them out now and then hand them to us before you leave the room. So, Winter, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, awesome. Thanks, man. All right.